Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Megat Izzuddin bin Megat Shariman. I'm from class 6 XBME 3. In this video, I will be presenting my topic, effect of government support to airlines after Covid-19 pandemic.
Okay, firstly is the background of study. During the first half of 2020, the coronavirus disease COVID-19 pandemic had far-reaching effects to society. The support measures to airline industry from the governments are mainly aimed at ensuring essential connectivity during the pandemic and protecting the millions of jobs the industry support. They form an indirect support to travel-sensitive sectors of the economy, such as tourism, to enable a faster rebound in the post-COVID-19 recovery phase. Whilst this could be defensible reasons to support the industry from an individual country's perspective, the size and uneven distribution of confirmed and reported outlays raise issues of unfair competition and could change the playing field of international air transport market in the future. Okay, next is current issues. A measure of the relative importance of the air transport sector in each country's economy can be the connectivity of domestic and international level. Because of the pandemic, many countries have imposed entry bans. We have looked at some differences in capacity change patterns between countries due to the closing borders at the start of the pandemic. The two largest markets for aviation in passengers and revenue is the United States and China, who have a significantly higher numbers of domestic and international connection. This can be explained by the size of the countries, the distribution of their economic activities, and the development of the air transport network in these countries. The pandemic situation could be grim for the large, mainly low-cost carriers operating in international market and not receiving any or only limited support from national governments. Some smaller hubs would lose the critical mass to allow efficient transit operation and would be limited to serving mainly point-to-point connection. Next is future. Airlines could be in dire if the government does not provide financial assistance to keep carriers airborne amid the COVID-19 pandemic. Most of the airlines had requested government assistance to provide them liquidity. This is to allow them to continue operation despite capacity reduction in certain affected routes, aircraft grounding, and weakening demand for air travel, which is exacerbated by the travel restriction globally. Also, some analysts said that airlines could be on the brink of bankruptcy without financial aids. To cope with the tough condition, airlines could initiate cost-cutting measures including voluntary unpaid leave as well as top management salaries cutting and abolishment of allowances. Of course, the urgency of the government will be to contain the COVID-19 outbreak. Although tourism and the air travel sector had been severely hit due to the flight cancellation and travel restriction. So, bailout and financial assistance will be the last resort available to this airline. If this is the case, I predict that the airline industry will take longer to rebound back to pre-COVID capacity, but they will for sure survive the outcome of this pandemic. Okay, next is benefit. If the airlines got the support from the government, they could get back to running to pre-COVID-19 levels. Some of the benefits will be the connectivity. Air transport will be available back like usual and the countries are back connected and this will enable tourism. Next is economic activity and jobs protection in aviation itself and related sectors such as tourism. Job opportunities will be secured and people will be not getting laid off. Okay, lastly is the economic relation. From this situation, what I can relate to the economic part is that countries that rely on international passengers for revenue and traffic tend to provide more aid. This is part due to the role of airline in this country as a strategic productive industry, such as Singapore, Hong Kong, and the Netherlands. Also, the lack of domestic air transport market as a fallback in these countries. Next is the countries where the passenger market is dominated by domestic travelers. While most of the revenue come from the international segment, countries in this category, to some degree, those with the balanced distribution of the international and domestic market, will not give much aid. When the international border close, the most vulnerable countries are those that generate most of their air transport demand and revenue internationally is what I found to be the most vulnerable.
That's the end of my video presentation. Thank you for listening. Assalamualaikum and bye-bye.